Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. Gary, what's happening?
I got to put on my headphones. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's your fault.
We didn't do our pre-flight check.
Yeah, it's your fault because you were talking to me.
I know. We were doing our pre-show meeting, which really is just a show. The other night, our production crew just said, "You got," because we were here. It was like 45 minutes. We were just going back and forth. It's like, you guys just turn the mics on. We don't have any stations on yet, but just turn the mic on.
Just record it, and we'll just play that.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
But it was, that's quite often the case. Actually, almost every day it's the case. The pre-show meeting, we get into it, and you and I basically catching up. We rarely communicate during the day. We do the same show prep, but we love coming to the table with our own unique perspectives. We agree on most things, but that's what we like. It's like, all right, save it for the show. Save it for the show. So what you're hearing is fresh analysis. MS Now, fresh analysis. Is it done yet? Are they doing MS Now? Is it done?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Does anybody
cable.
really know what time it is?
Well,
Does anybody really care?
I don't know. It's 25 or 624. I don't know which one.
Oh, you got the lowdown.
Yeah. Did you hear the story about that? That it was like late, it was like 3:30ish in the morning, and someone like kind of said across the room, "Hey, what time is it? Is it 25 or 6?" Which he meant 26 to 4. Which would have been like 3. He was kind of correcting himself.
So they
said 25.
This is Chicago,
6
the
to
band.
4. Yep.
So they came up with, does anybody know what time it is? And then 25 or 6.
I don't know about anybody.
Related?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about any. Does anybody know what time it is? But 25 or 624. That's how.
Never heard that story.
Yeah. It was on a documentary about the band.
But here we go.
Yeah.
Well, there is no doubt who is responsible for the shutdown.
Yep.
How do we know? Democrats have told us.
Yeah. Well,
we now know it wasn't Republicans that shut down the government.
Yeah.
Because the Democrats are furious that the government has been reopened.
yes.
With everything that we went through, the gaslighting, everything, it was the Democrats, and we know it because the Democrats are furious that the government is reopened.
Now, what's next? Are they going to get their paid protesters out there on the street to protest government workers going back to work? Calling them scabs if they go back to work.
I can see that.
That'll be next. That's the new protest. By the way, it is. If you're a liberal and you're one of those dry erase board protesters, where you just erase whatever the cause of the day, that's the cause of the day. You got to protest the government being reopened here when it happens within a couple of days and people start going back to work and all that. You got to get out there with your dry erase board sign and protest it.
Did you
scream with your blue hair?
Chris Cillizza posted yesterday. By the way, he's not a Republican. On October 16th, John Thune offered Democrats a deal where he guaranteed a vote on the ACA subsidies by December in exchange for reopening the government. Democrats rejected it.
Yeah, we remember that. Because we started talking then, well, okay, I mean, would Democrats go for a promise of a vote or, but we remember when that happened. And here we are. They rejected it and then, okay, we'll get it done.
But it looks like it has gone through, and it looks like And again, I know it's a 1-year phase-in period, but from the way it's written, and I can't even get all the details out on it, the little-known thing that was added to the bill that was one of the reasons that Rand Paul rejected it was, and you and I were trying to go through it and figure out, well, what does this mean? And then they say a 1-year phase-in plan where it could change, but basically the hemp industry will be wiped out.
Yeah, I don't see how it wouldn't if what we're reading is accurate and true, and the House votes on it and passes it, then there's no reason to believe that's not going to happen. But if what we're reading is accurate and true, it basically phases out all forms of hemp, THC, even the synthesized stuff and everything else to a level that is basically close to zero, nothing, and gets rid of what many people have called a loophole. The concentration based on the aggregate weight was that loophole.
And just this comes from the funding for the Agriculture Department, and the Agriculture Department in 2018. And by the way, I didn't. What was it, about a year and a half ago, when you were sitting there, you're doing research? Do you know that THC is legal in Texas? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's the hemp-based THC.
And it's like, just all the smoke shops and the vape shots.
I wondered how they were staying open on just vaping and.
Well, that's same with me. I'm like, why are all these places opening?
I mean, I could see a few, but I mean, a few of them being there, but they just popped up everywhere.
Oh, there's everywhere, and I'm thinking, well, people just, because remember, it was a thing. What, about 10 years ago when the vaping came out, where people were vaping tobacco.
Yeah.
But I didn't see any stores opening. I mean, it was, and all of a sudden there's all these vape and smoke shops. I'm like, wow, really? People really are that addicted to that? That shows you how naive I was until I came in, and then you and I looked at it. But it would basically wipe out the Delta 8, the Delta 10, the THCA, I think it's called, which is synthesized. Now, they said it's a 1-year phase-in program, and for me, reading it a few times, I'm still not sure where all of this goes. But now, this is for states that they have that are unregulated. States that have legalized pot will be able to continue selling pot, from what I can tell. This is about states where it's unregulated, which, from what I know, Texas fits that definition.
Right.
And so, well, the other thing is the state dispensaries. All these states, open it up, and they want the tax dollars from the state dispensaries, and all of a sudden the competition comes in because it's legal from the Farm Bill.
Well, and Texas just went through this because conservatives, including the lieutenant governor, wanted to close that loophole, but it also dealt with interstate commerce on the federal level and everything else. So if there were companies that were shipping those products through Texas, it would have made the shipment of those products through Texas, even if they were just passing through and not coming to Texas, that would have been illegal. And the governor stepped in and for a few other reasons, said no. And so they went in and basically clamped down on the age requirement, the age limit, and the governor is enforcing it through state police right now. He just announced that a few weeks ago. But we'll see where this goes.
And I was reading to you, and it was Politico had it. They're talking about that CBD that a lot of people use.
Yeah.
If it has trace amounts of THC in it, I mean, nothing to get you high, but if the trace amounts are in it, which is just naturally occurring, they're making it sound like all CBD products will also be taken off the shelves.
Yeah, I mean,
And you can get that. I mean, you can get that. You can get that on Amazon. You can get that anywhere. The CBD.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know what the law is that lets them say 0%, because sometimes it's a very slight amount, but they get close to 0 and they can say 0. They do that with some foods and some not ingredients, but like a sugar content or something. If it's like 1/4 of a gram, they can say 0, or they don't have to add this. But then if you add it up, the point being is that if this gets down to 0, absolute 0, that would be, you're basically shutting down the hemp industry, because the hemp farmers basically came about in 2018, basically because of that law, that federal law that allowed that as a part of what was going on with CBD. And people were pushing for CBD being used as treatment for a number of things, a natural treatment for a number of things. And we'll see. I'm surprised this hasn't made more news. Maybe it will. Maybe it will tomorrow. But if the interpretation is correct, then it would pretty much shut down that industry.
I talk about the culture in different states, and I've talked about for example, the culture in Texas, where in my city just a few years ago is when we got alcohol.
Yeah, my town still does not have. Yeah. It only has beer and wine.
Yeah,
and we only got that 10 years ago.
And so it always surprises me, the culture of it, and when liquor stores started appearing, because I talked about it before that I used to have to go 18 miles to a liquor store. Mm-hmm. That's how far away a liquor store was. I find I'm really not visiting much. I'm not visiting any more than I was when it was 18 miles away. But
you should do what I do: move in next door to a liquor store.
Well, when they started coming in to the neighborhood, and then on this peninsula that I live, when the first liquor store came in, you should have seen, next door, the app. Mm-hmm. All these young, and remember, I live where this liquor store is a Democrat precinct. I'm a Democrat precinct surrounded by Republicans. Remember,
Jasmine Crockett
is
the representative.
I'm in Jasmine Crockett's district by 3 blocks.
Yeah.
And it was 95% to 5%. And you could see just from the pictures of the people in next door, these are all young people furious that there's a liquor store within miles of their home. Mm-hmm. And me coming from New York, where when I was growing up, bars stayed open till 4:30. You had to stop serving alcohol at 4, and then they closed at 4:30.
Yeah.
That was like, wow.
And that's AM, not PM.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. We close at 4:30 p.m.
And so when it shocked me, this was it last time or the 2 times ago? I went into a place, great food, right around the corner from my father's house. It's a beautiful restaurant, bar, and everything else. And they had, some kind of vendor, some kind of promotional thing with, somebody with the little shot glasses of, trying out a new alcoholic drink.
Yeah.
It wasn't an alcoholic drink. It was a THC drink. I'm like, where the hell am I?
Yeah.
Wow. And they sell it.
I remember seeing the ads. It was like on X or somewhere.
Yeah. They sell it. They sell it in the bars now, which means this is the stuff the state has approved.
That's how I actually learned a couple of years ago. We were sitting here and an ad came across and said, this is, and it was on X or somewhere on social media, and said, it's legal in your state, because they can tell from your URL where you're at. And I'm like, or from your IP address, where you're at. And I'm like, what? And then I had to do the research, and it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh, this is how they're doing it.
Well, New York State, it's legal, so
In New York State, it is.
it's a bar selling it, which means they need the authority from the state liquor board, so it's approved. So
Yeah.
you can go in and go, give me how about give me a beer and a THC shot?
And Texas just expanded our medical marijuana, but it's a very stringent qualification. No.
I'm sick.
No. It's like it has to go through. It sounds like, and I could be wrong, but actually in reading it, it really does sound like you have to go through like a team of doctors have to, and a board has to look at it in order to approve it just for the one person.
And what you have to have.
And then you have to go get high with those doctors. You have to share. That's okay. I may be making that part up. That could be untrue. It's probably not true. I'm going to say it's not true.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller. In order to manage speed, you need to understand the 4 factors involved in stopping a vehicle. Perception distance is the distance a vehicle travels from the time you see a hazard until your brain recognizes it. The perception time for an alert driver is approximately 3/4 of a second. Reaction distance is the distance a vehicle travels from the time your brain tells your foot to move from the accelerator until your foot hits the brake pedal. The average driver has a reaction time of 3/4 of a second. Brake lag distance also needs to be taken into account. When operating a vehicle with air brakes, it takes about half a second for the mechanical operation to take place. Finally, braking distance is the distance it takes a vehicle to stop once the brakes are applied. Braking distance is affected by the weight, length, and speed of the vehicle, as well as road condition. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
Yeah, Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here. As always, what did I do with it here? I just had it, and then I lost it. I wanted to get to here it is. This is Mike Johnson yesterday speaking. Yeah, we got time. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, on the whole the shutdown and now reopening.
Good morning, everybody. I'm very thankful to see you all this morning. I'm thankful to welcome you to what appears to be the beginning of the end of the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, as shameful as that is. I don't think it's coincidental, you know how I think, but it's after 40 days of wandering in the wilderness and making the American people suffer needlessly, some Senate Democrats finally have stepped forward to end the pain. It appears to us this morning that our long national nightmare is finally coming to an end, and we're grateful for that. At least some Democrats now finally appear ready to do what Republicans and President Trump and millions of hardworking American people have been asking them to do for weeks. But as we said from the beginning, the people's government cannot be held hostage to further anyone's political agenda. That was never right. And shutting down the government never produces anything. It never has, if you study history. And so here we are.
There you go. And coming up on the bottom of the hour, how the media covered it. But really, wasn't it interesting yesterday to watch all of it? And you're like, well, they're admitting they shut it down.
Yeah, right.
They're admitting they don't want it to reopen.
Right.
Wasn't
Wasn't that the inevitable, though? Now they're going to protest, basically, the reopening of the government? Because that's the only place you can go from here, right? If you're Schumer, we don't want the government reopened.
And Schumer, it's like, why are you blaming Schumer?
Yeah.
He's the one that decided to close it all down. He didn't decide to reopen it.
I know.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No,
The
your
Democrats.
leadership. Yep.
Yep.
Catch Red Eye Radio live every night on the Red Eye Radio app, available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. All right, let's listen to see how the mainstream media was covering this yesterday.
Sure,
right,
why not?
Let's go to NBC.
All right.
This is NBC.
Government's been shut down more than 40 days. The travel chaos around the country, SNAP benefits up in the air for tens of millions. What was it, or what were the combination of things that finally led this group of Democrats to say, enough's enough?
So a couple of big things here, Craig. First, everything you just listed, that combo platter, if you will, of food aid running out, of the chaos at airports, of federal workers not getting paid. People were hurting, and that's what you heard this group of Democrats talk about in breaking with the rest of the party to come to a deal here and try to move that forward. The other thing, though, is one Democrat said it wasn't working. Their whole strategy to shut down the government, to try to put the pressure on Republicans to negotiate on those, what they see as critical health care subsidies, those effectively tax credits for the Affordable Care Act, it wasn't panning out. And so at least this way, in the eyes of this group, they at least have Republicans coming to the table for a vote as per the terms of this deal here. Keep in mind, too, though, Craig, there was an interesting dynamic that you heard them not rule out the possibility of after January, once this short-term funding piece runs out, they may shut down the government again. They're leaving that potential open because, again, those SNAP benefits, those kinds of impactful pieces to Americans wouldn't be so much on the table. So
There you go. And so we're going to shut the government down if we can cover everything.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, my gosh.
We're going to do a shutdown, but actually nothing's going to be shut down.
I'm going to play this as Larry Sabato from University of Virginia talking about it. Here we go.
Think about what happened last week. You had a Democratic landslide on Tuesday, and not just in a couple of states. There were lots of elections that didn't receive that much attention nationally, and they almost all went Democratic, and by wider margins, sometimes much wider margins than expected. Democrats were euphoric. They were energetic. They were enthusiastic. They were ready to go out and win the midterms of 2026, and it lasted 4.5 days. And they were sent from cloud nine to a subterranean purgatory by what the Democrats did, or those 8 Democrats did, over the weekend.
The funny thing is, you've got the panel at CNN all laughing when he says that.
Yeah.
But this is, again, Senator Shaheen, who was on CBS.
All right.
This is, Barry Weiss's CBS.
The all-new CBS.
It'll be how long will it be new for?
Yeah, right.
Like some radio stations that have been around we're the new.
Yeah.
We're the new country station.
Yeah. Your morning host is 94 years old.
Exactly.
You're not new.
Here it is.
Well, Senator, those issues that you described when it comes to the shutdown, we've covered them. They are real. There's a lot of pain in the country right now, and people want out of this shutdown. But it was that fight for health care subsidies that led Democrats to drive the country into a shutdown. You had the leverage. Now you're out of the shutdown, or on a path anyway. And other Democrats are using words like, this is pathetic. This is not keeping your word. They are very angry. I'm talking about other elected Democrats. What's your response to them?
Well, again, I think the focus should stay on the people who are responsible for where we are. And as I said in my statement last night, keeping the government shut down for another week or another month doesn't indicate that there would be any change in the outcome. All it would mean is that more Americans would suffer. We need to get this government back open. We need to get people paid. We need to get people air traffic moving again. We need to get people making sure that they can get their food, because unfortunately this is the first shutdown where we saw Donald Trump refuse to provide the benefits to make sure that people could continue to eat. We need to keep the focus on them, not on continuing to fight a battle that we are going to be able to continue because of the vote.
But I wasn't sure. That's why I played the whole thing. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, when you're saying who you blame, are you throwing the blame back at Democrats? Because Democrats closed the government. What they're saying is, well, since Trump didn't do what we wanted him to do, then he's to blame for the shutdown. She was answering a different question from what he had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's, when we get beyond this, the thing is that the shutdowns really never do work. This one had an impact because it went so long, and you started seeing things with airports and, of course, all the news surrounding SNAP and the SNAP benefits. Government pay is always a big deal. But eventually, you're going to reopen the government. There's no way that you're not going to reopen the government. So effectively, what have you done? And this promised vote on Obamacare, the president yesterday was speaking to the media during the swearing in of the new ambassador to India. And he was talking about it. And it's the idea is to give the money, as we talked about yesterday, instead of more subsidies, you give the money, you fund a FSA account for the individual. Not the money doesn't go to the insurance companies. It goes to the individual. The president said that a couple of times yesterday. So that's what the GOP is focused on, and clearly what they're going to try and get done in December. We'll see if the Democrats have anything to say about that. But this shutdown effectively was, again, it always goes nowhere. Until you start seeing airport lines, there was no way they were going to get to Thanksgiving week. First of all, they all have to wait in line at the airports.
No, you're right. They've got to wait in line too.
So most of them do. And so that's
well, unless you get the escort like MTG.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That thing last week.
Right.
At was Atlanta airport?
Mm-hmm. And who was it from? Somebody from Michigan or somebody who drives all the way from Michigan to D.C. when they're in session. This goes back a few years and was bragging about their electric vehicle and the whole thing and pushing electric vehicles. And I would rather drive in that car than fly. And they were making it. Okay, well, that's one way to get there. But there's a lot of them that are affected by this themselves. And when you start, because I keep thinking, and I'm seeing Thanksgiving stuff everywhere, of course, Christmas stuff everywhere too. But I'm thinking to myself, no, you were never going to get to this November 21st battle. And the Democrats knew that. And as we pointed out, it was Chris Cillizza who pointed out Thune offered a similar deal weeks ago, which, again, goes to support my theory that this is all about that election last week for the Democrats, and they didn't want any compromise whatsoever. Then all of a sudden they offer up 8 Democrats to vote with the GOP. So
on the bill that on a proposal that was offered almost a month ago,
right,
by Thune,
right. Where were those 8 then?
Yeah,
So,
but that's what came out yesterday. I mean, look, you and I look at it and go, and what's the big picture? Both parties are going to spend too much. Doesn't matter what the compromise is. I mean but the fact
that's
is
our frustration,
right? But when you look at the last month and a half, it was really fascinating to watch the Democrats make it obvious to the American people that we shut down the government and we're ticked off. The majority of Democrats ticked off that it's going to reopen. And I guess 36 hours is what, so it'll be sometime Wednesday. Probably Wednesday morning.
That's funny because last Wednesday I said, what are we thinking, midweek next week, Wednesday? Yeah. And that, which, again, seemed logical. I didn't expect them because Speaker Johnson had mentioned, I think on Thursday or Friday, coming back over the weekend. See, I thought they were going to come back already had planned to come back on Monday, but that wasn't the case. But Wednesday it'll happen. The president will sign it, and I guess everything back to work for the employees, or those employees that weren't working if they were furloughed.
The most important thing is it will give TSA and the air traffic controllers roughly 13 days to get it all back together again, and that 13 days is extremely important in American history for this coming Thanksgiving because it's when I fly next.
That's right. Yeah.
And since, hey, for everybody, it's all about our own self-interest, it's all about me. Now that I'm collecting Social Security,
right,
it's all about me.
I find that more and more as I grow older.
But I'm still upset that I don't get anything. I don't get all these things that other people get from the government. Let's now frame the show that way until we die.
Right.
I'm giving up. I'm going to practice jealousy and envy on the show.
Well, can we hire a government worker to feed me? I mean, I don't have anything wrong with me.
From now,
come over to the house. I need the pizza guy to bring it to the chair, and I need, if I'm going to just totally rely on the government, somebody to come in and braid my hair and feed me.
Since it's the almost to the holidays, which would be Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
I don't generally, when I say the holidays, that's what I mean.
Yeah, we're not ignoring Christmas.
I'm not afraid to ignore Christmas.
I saw that in a bit the other day.
I'll simply say, all I want is what's coming to me. All I want is my fair share from A Charlie Brown Christmas.
I saw somebody the other day. Do y'all say Merry Christmas? And the guy at the help desk was like, sir, it's July. If I'm going to do business with you, I want to know. Yeah, we don't. Of course, our audience knows that. We wish you and yours a peaceful and quiet, and I do mean quiet because I'll call the cops, holiday season.
Will Mamdani have a Christmas greeting?
Oh.
A mayoral-elect Christmas greeting?
What does that look like, huh? I don't know.
Well, he doesn't like the green in Christmas, only the red.
Yeah, the communist red.
Right, you can't have the
you
can't have the
red.
capitalist green.
Right. He should wear a red baseball cap. By the way, you can't even wear a plain red baseball cap in public anymore.
He's going to advocate that everything from Santa must be free.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Make the rich pay for it.
Make the
Santa's rich elves should be paying for all of it.
We won't even tell you what his plans are for the Tooth Fairy.
And we want union rights for those elves.
Santa does overwork.
Yeah.
And
right.
plus the whole thing with Rudolph.
Right.
Come on, the bullying.
Oh, come on. That's unacceptable.
The implications
right.
of his sexuality.
Right.
All that stuff with
well,
Rudolph.
We need, honestly, greater regulation in the reindeer games.
We are Red Eye Radio.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, the entire thing, I mean, blaming Schumer is really fascinating. I saw Jessica Tarloff on the Five, you know, the lone Democrat, and she was saying, look, there are other people saying we're vulnerable. You need to pass this. We need to get this thing passed because it's not working for us. It's just, you know, we're not getting anything out of it. And she even admitted on the Five that maybe we should have passed it 3 weeks ago, which would have been when Thune, first offered, to have the vote on it. But I believe this is the Civil War where they just want the old people out. They want, they want the socialists in.
Yep.
And this is where I think Mamdani was the benchmark, where it's like, okay, he won. Yep. We want everybody to be Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is the exception because he's an outright socialist / Marxist.
Right.
I think that's what this is actually about.
It is, because if you look at it, Schumer, it's a bad look. Anything he does, and the party, his own party doesn't like it. Remember when Jon Stewart on The Daily Show just went after him, and it was it's just cringe anytime he gets in front of a camera. But they want the old out for sure.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. All right, so we'll get more into the end of the shutdown and the admission by Democrats and even from the media is that this was a Democrat shutdown. By the response, by the response and the fury, they didn't care about people going hungry. When you think about it, they didn't care about air traffic controllers. They didn't care about the airport. You can tell because they're furious that the government is back open.
Yep.
But what this comes down to, that's the small picture. The big picture is what we mentioned at the last part of the last hour of the show. And what I believe this is about now is after the Mamdani win, you have liberals looking at it and saying, my God, we can have an avowed socialist and anti-Semite win. When you look in Virginia, my God, we can have people that actually promote and enable the mindset that we should kill the opposition and kill the opposition's children, and we can still get elected. In New Jersey, where electricity prices are out of control and prices are going through the roof, we can still elect somebody whose policies will raise electricity prices. I do look at that as a little bit of an anomaly, though, because overall what you're seeing here from the Democrats is they believe we can sell socialism as a way not to get prices down, but a way that we can subsidize everything. If you noticed in the discussion of Obamacare, none of the Democrats are talking about how to improve their health care and how to make it cheaper. It's only we need to pay whatever the subsidies are. There is no discussion. Well, my God, the premiums have skyrocketed through the roof. We've got to figure out what's going on here. There's none of that talk. It's simply pay the subsidies. Don't worry about whether it's a completely and totally flawed system. The public doesn't care. We can sell socialism by saying that socialism will reduce the cost to you. Not reduce the costs, but reduce the cost to you.
Right.
Because somebody else will pay. If things get too expensive, we'll have somebody else pay it for you. That's how I think that's what the big picture is for 2026. The acknowledgement from so many Republicans, really the last one being dragged along about the problems with prices is Trump. but J.D. Vance brought it up, as we know. Ramaswamy has brought it up. Every major conservative outlet has brought it up. You've had 3 different former advisors to Trump and J.D. Vance before this election come out and say, guys, you got to do something on prices. You can't ignore prices. And with the president, they see the president out there. Well, okay, yeah, we need to be concerned with affordability.
Yeah.
And the president even yesterday saying, well, if you think prices are high, you're just paying attention to the Democrat propaganda.
Right.
And they're just joyful going, my God, that's what we did. We're pretending that there is no problem. We're pretending that, they're pretending that prices are coming down. Mm-hmm. You and I have gone through it. It's not Democrat propaganda. It's not Republican propaganda. It's what the inflation figures are, and it's about specific products, the dozens of products that Americans actually buy every day that have gone through the roof and continue over the last year to be at an inflation rate that's so many of these are over 4%, 5%, 6%, 7% in the last year, and it's stuff that Americans buy.
And the president yesterday, again, he was talking to the media. It was a press conference after the swearing in of the new ambassador to India. He talked about inflation coming down and prices, and we're going to see $2 a gallon gasoline soon, and we're in the twos right now, but we'll probably see $2 soon, and everything else. The thing is that this particular president, this person, Donald Trump, is normally one of the best at recognizing the sentiment of the general public.
Mm-hmm. That's how he got elected in 2016.
What he talked about yesterday, he said the liberal media is lying about the numbers and all of this, and they're lying about the tariffs, and they're lying about this. And that's not the focus. The focus should be, what do the American people feel like they're facing? What are they going through? If your finger's not on that pulse, and again, he's better at it than most, usually. Don't focus on the liberal media. Don't focus. Your battle's not with them. Just like we said with Disney and the whole back and forth with Governor DeSantis in Florida. You're not taking on the Republican Party, Disney. You're taking on parents who pay money to take their kids to your parks and consume your products online. That's who you're battling with. So you're not dealing with the liberal activist media here. If they get it wrong, that's one thing. When you're speaking, you have the world stage. More specifically, you have our society. And when you have their ear, you need to recognize what they're going through. You don't need to coddle them. But I don't hear a plan of how prices are going to come down. He said they're coming down. He said prices are way down, prices are way down. They're not.
They're not.
And
as we said with Democrats,
you can't just say it and make it true.
Well, and we talked about the Democrats last year, the biggest problem in politics, where you lose the biggest, is when something is absolutely self-evident and you tell people that what they feel and see every day isn't real.
Right.
That's to the point. That's gaslighting.
Yep.
What you see and what you experience every day is actually not happening. We said this in the beginning, even where we believe the tariffs are justifiable. Now, we believe he went about it the wrong way. He should have isolated China and made trade pacts with our friendly trade partners that we've been friendly trade partners for decades. To attack Canada, and he's the one that did the deal with them, was a horrible political move.
Yeah.
It's been horrible since day one.
Right.
Horrible.
Right.
Absolutely horrible. He alone did the NAFTA deal with Canada. Mm-hmm. Anything with trade between the United States and Canada even things that weren't negotiated in NAFTA were decided not to be negotiated by the President of the United States and his trade team. Everything with the trade relationship we have with Canada is because of Trump.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so the demonization for anybody who's paying attention is like, whoa. But the Democrats are hoping that nobody is paying attention overall as to the fact of, for example, on health care. Don't worry about the prices and why they're going up and why premiums are skyrocketing.
Right.
Just worry about what you have to pay, and we're going to have somebody else. We're going to have future generations pay for your health care. We go back to this again, and it's non-debatable. No Democrat can debate this. The health care thing is all about the fact that the Democrats, they've had the opportunity. I think was it Joy Behar or Whoopi? One of them yesterday was saying, well, why don't we just have the states do this and we'll pay our state taxes? I got to find the audio.
Yeah,
I know I
been
saved
tried,
it.
yeah.
And it's like, well, no, you've got to realize that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you had the one Democratic congressman last week saying, well, no, the problem is not to raise state taxes. We should be doing this all on the federal level because they know that's the only place that you can borrow money.
Exactly.
Democrats don't give a damn about having quality health care, competitive quality health care that is actually lower cost. They don't care about that.
And, the problem they have with the FSA plan that the GOP is throwing out there, where instead of giving the insurance companies on Obamacare the subsidies, they send the money directly to the people who are getting Obamacare, and you get an FSA account. Well, inevitably, what happens when you get an FSA account? When you get an FSA account, that becomes your money, and you want to spend it wisely. You start paying attention to things. Well, one of the overall plan, long-term plan, the Democrats don't care that it's getting expensive. They want to hide that part of it, and they hide it with the subsidies. They don't care that their agenda things, EVs, whatever it is really expensive. They hide it with the subsidies. So if you're getting your money at that point, then you've got to pay. That can go to cover the cost of part of the premium. Well, when you do that, when you're looking at that going, why in the world am I paying this? What am I paying for? What am I getting here? And you start looking at Obamacare for what it is, then it starts to fall apart because it's like, well, wait a minute. Why is this so expensive? Because if long-term, and Democrats have talked about this, what they would love to have is nationalized health care. You can't do that until you break the private sector. And you just keep covering up the problem with subsidies. But when you put the money in the hands of the actual people, then they've got to make a decision. They're looking at it going, well, wait a minute. Why am I paying for this? Why am I paying so much for this? How do we bring this cost down? I'd like to hold on to this FSA money for other things.
And as we said before, the whole shutdown was about the fact that Democrats don't want to pay for health care. They want future generations.
Exactly.
They want their grandchildren to pay for their health care. Otherwise, they would have passed state-run government health care in California, Colorado, and Vermont.
Right.
They didn't vote it in anywhere. Why? Because of the cost.
Right.
We can't pay for it up front. But the other problem is they want to give Cadillac coverage. And who was it? We talked about it when it happened about a month ago. Democrat came out and said, well, why can't we just have catastrophic health care with high deductible and then, have people, give them health savings accounts in order to pay for everything else that they want to? And we're just like shaking our heads going,
years ago.
The Democrats are going, we've had that discussion years ago. Are you willing to have that discussion now?
Right.
Because I don't think they want that discussion.
I don't think so.
Because that doesn't get you to nationalized health care.
Right, for the reason I just mentioned.
Right, which means there's no discipline in price control.
Right.
There's no where the customer because they've got what do they call it when you say you've got you've got an investment in it because it's your money. What do they call that? There's a saying for that.
Teeth in the game?
Yeah, teeth in the game, right. You've got no teeth in the game at that, if you got no teeth in the game, you don't care what it costs. Well, just give me my health care. I don't care what it costs. The customer doesn't know what the actual cost is.
Right.
They don't know.
Right.
And that's where the transparency comes in. But the Democrats don't want that. But understand that this entire thing is about prices. Democrats realize, my God, we got brutalized in 24. Doesn't seem like Trump has learned anything about prices, or the Republicans have learned anything about prices, because the Republicans aren't fighting it. Republicans aren't screaming bloody murder. We got to get prices down or we lose this election. They're starting to, and they're like, my God, this is a perfect opening for socialism. Things get too expensive.
Yep. No, that's it.
The other party is not recognizing it. They recognized it and won an election, and now we're ignoring prices. And as we have said all along, to your own peril, no matter what your intentions are, if the prices go up, the public doesn't give a damn. It's that simple.
Right.
That's the simplest rule of politics when it comes to prices. And it's like Democrats made the mistake and Republicans have made the mistake since they've taken over in January. And for some reason, I have no idea why, they just don't learn.
Yeah.
They just don't learn. Let's pretend it's not happening. And it's obvious. It's something that's self-evident to every single person every single time they walk into a store. And if you say gasoline prices, people know gasoline fluctuates up and down. It's not gasoline prices that people are worried about. It's what's happening at the grocery store every time they walk in.
Mm-hmm.
It's what's happening at the department store every time they walk in. When inflation was low and gasoline prices went down, people recognized it more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know. But I know what the Democrats are doing. I don't know how the Republicans are going to get out of it, but I know what the Democrats are doing. Socialism will take care of the price problem because we'll subsidize everything and make everything free, which means we'll put it on future generations because they know they can't tax the rich for what they need.
Right.
They can only do it through debt.
Yep.
And so that's the socialist dream. A democratic socialist is the person who will admit we need to get the money from our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. They're not even born yet.
And they don't see it as a problem. Nobody sees that as a problem. No. There are very few people screaming about the national debt. And even some of the people that mention it really don't care because they're not doing anything about it.
We are Red Eye Radio.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Might you have some sort of money personality? Utah State University Extension financial expert Amanda Christensen says yes. In fact, much of her career includes
helping people see how money is very much influenced by the messages and the experiences that we've had. Those messages come from various sources, certainly our families and other significant people in our circle, but also our outer circles, celebrities, for example, the media, our culture, and certainly religious and spiritual teachings influence money personalities.
And while there are 6 distinct money personalities, according to Christensen,
there's no perfect money personality. Typically with this topic, what we're trying to teach people is that you need to discover your own. What is your money personality? And then what can we do to curb the weaknesses and lean into the strengths?
The money personalities center on the areas of security, planning, spontaneity, status, giving, and a carefree approach. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, ignore prices at your own peril if you're a politician. And it's just it's amazing what we've seen over the last year and a half. First, really the last 2 years, first with Democrats, and now here with prices going up as if it doesn't matter anymore from Republicans until last week after the election. Then you started seeing Ramaswamy. The first thing he came out with, we got to do something about prices.
Yep.
And then J.D. Vance came out, and even the president did, but then he's backing off on it now.
Well, and the word affordable became the word of the day.
But the other thing is, too, when you look at the polling, I know people say, well, polling sucks. You look at the polling that is most favorable to the president, that actually promotes the president, Rasmussen, tied for his lowest approval numbers since January, down 11 points since January when he became president for his second term. There's worrying signs out there about prices, and ignore prices at your own peril. I don't know what else more to say on it.
No, that's it.
It's the most obvious.
Get to work on a plan and quit saying that prices are coming down when they're not.
Listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Now, the good news for Republicans. We had talked about last week after the election in the state of Texas how all 17 of the constitutional amendments passed in the state of Texas, including one bill to lower property taxes in general, one to lower it more for seniors. Damn, that's a good bill. That's a really, really good bill.
That's your favorite bill.
That's and I don't know why.
It's your favorite bill.
It's almost as if my own self-interest is clouding my judgment there.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's being noticed around the country now. What happened in the state of Texas last week, that when you take the personalities out of it, the tribalism of the parties out of it, and just put what you wish to do in words, liberals disappear. You ready? Here we go.
All right.
I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs here. This is from, this is actually 5 days ago. Liberal voters rebuke Democrats on a clear choice about living costs. The property tax revolt in Texas. Affordability ruled in Texas elections this week, as it did in higher profile races in New Jersey and Virginia. The difference is that in the Lone Star State, Democrats were on the losing end of the issue. Even in blue cities like Austin, voters rejected property tax hikes. Remember the 20% property tax hike?
Yeah.
Voters rejected property tax hikes and sided with Republicans when presented with a clear choice about the cost of living. 63% of Austin voters. I don't know how to describe how huge that is. 63% of Austin voters
almost half.
Shot down a proposal to increase property tax rates by 20%, which would have raised $110 million a year in local revenue. Democrat Mayor Kurt Watson campaigned for the increase, as did the city council, where Democrats hold 10 of 11 seats, and the 11th one, of course, belongs to what, a Republican? No, a Democrat socialist. But property tax bills have risen in recent years, and residents don't buy the claim that they had to pay more for basic services. Whoa. The average tax bill for city service in Austin is about $2,100, according to the Texas Policy Foundation, up $973 from 2015. A typical resident might pay another $4,000 a year in school district taxes. Voters approved a 20% increase 5 years ago to expand the transit system and ease traffic as thousands of newcomers moved in. Yet the city still faces a $33 million deficit going into next year. The rebuke to City Hall led the mayor to call for an audit of government spending, which he might have thought of before seeking another tax hike. Elsewhere in Texas, voters rejected 25 of at least 44 proposals to raise school district taxes, according to the Texas Tribune. Tax tolerance has plummeted in recent years. Voters in Texas approved 80% of school district tax hikes from 2006 to 2019. At the state level, voters passed the 3 anti-tax constitutional amendments we told you about last week. No new taxes on estates, no new taxes on security transactions, no state tax on realized or unrealized capital gains. Mark them down as more reasons people will keep moving to Texas. And these weren't amendments that squeaked by 1 or 2 or 3%.
Right.
I think the closest was like 12%, and the majority of those were the majority were what? 30, 40%?
Mm-hmm.
You had a couple that were you had one that was 70%.
Yeah.
When it came to tax reduction, 60%, 70%. It was unbelievable when you actually look at it. So when you take out the personalities, you take out the parties, and you simply say, here's this constitutional amendment. Are you for it? It's pro-business. It's lower taxes. Even a huge majority of liberals will vote in their own self-interest.
Sure.
Remember, the entire Democratic Party right now, the entire Democratic Party is basing what they believe that we can provide you anything and someone else is going to pay for it. It is a huge benchmark that Governor Hochul came out and last week said, well, we can't do what Mamdani wants because what he wishes to do is tax more people in New York City and put a huge increase in the corporate tax rate in all New York State to pay for what New York City wants. We can't do that. We can't do that anymore. Has there been any blow? You think about it, Schumer's sitting there saying to himself, why aren't they blasting Hochul?
Right.
She's the one that says we can't tax the rich anymore.
Right.
To the point where let's go Bills now means tax the rich.
That's right.
Talking about the Buffalo Bills, in case you didn't hear the story, when she was there at a rally for Mamdani a couple of weeks ago, all the campaign people got on her case, and they're all screaming at her, tax the rich, because she said she's not going to tax the rich. And when she was asked about it, she said, oh, I thought they were saying let's go Bills. So now let's go Bills. And that's why the Bills lost big the other day. The Bills lost big the other day because there were so many Bills fans, even in the Miami Stadium, all cheering let's go Bills. Well, they're hearing it. The players are hearing it. Tax the rich. Well, what the hell? They're the rich.
Yeah.
So they go, to hell with you. We're going to lose this game big time.
Right.
And we're in Florida where there is no state income tax to begin with. We're paying higher taxes in New York, and all of our fans are screaming at us, let's go Bills. And we know, just like let's go Brandon, it means something else.
Mm-hmm.
And it means tax the rich, and they want to tax us. So Josh Allen just said, I make a ton of money, to hell with you. I'm going to tank this game.
There is no proof he actually tanked the game.
Yeah, but I'm having so much fun. I like this. I like this stuff. I'm thinking of becoming a Democrat. I like this stuff of just making things up as I go along.
Cowboys are good at tanking games just by taking the field.
But that's the thing. So it's all not doom and gloom if you understand where the Democrats are going. The Democrats are going. They don't give a damn about being responsible with health care. They don't care about lowering the cost. They're just promising you nirvana.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be, but that's what they believe they can win in 2026. We focus on prices. We're not going to bring them down. We're just going to subsidize everything. We're going to give you free this, free that, free this, free that, and we'll tax the rich to do it.
Yep.
Eventually, the liberal machine has to come down against Hochul.
I think it will.
Because it mirrors almost what Andrew Cuomo went through when he first got into office. No, we can't do a millionaire's tax. We can't do a millionaire's tax. I can't afford to be a liberal on this. Remember that?
Well, that's basically how it's going to come down here. And then she'll say no, no, no. And, of course, lawmakers and Mamdani will come in and go, yes, yes, yes. Well, I've got to go along with what the people are saying. Their representatives say this is what we should do. She's going to cave.
Well, she's going to cave because you're not, if you're raising the individual income tax of New Yorkers to pay for New York City, that you probably can't win even in New York. But if you're raising corporate taxes, they don't care. You're taxing the rich.
Right. Yeah.
You're taxing the rich of New York State. Now, small business owners might be upset about it. Wow. And I will say this, the one thing, and growing up in Western New York, talking to somebody the other day, and they said, oh, you're from Western New York, Buffalo? Yeah. How is it to grow up in New York? And it's like, well, I really didn't. I grew up in Western New York.
Right.
It's completely different. But the one thing I do know, from the time that I can remember, my uncles talking about it, that, we all support New York City. We all support New York City. We don't have a voice. We support for over a half century, I've heard it since I've been covering politics, and even before, you can go back probably 60 years that I can remember my uncles saying it, that people just hate the fact that they believe, because remember, you get into some of these suburban areas and rural areas of New York, these people are just as conservative as anybody you can. Same with Oregon. You look at Eastern Oregon that wants to secede from Oregon. These people are conservative.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're as conservative as you can get. They're as conservative as anybody you'll find in Oklahoma, Florida, or Texas. And they look at it and they're like, what the hell? This is just... And they feel the bad part of it is, if you live in an Oklahoma, Florida, or a Texas, and you live in a rural area, you feel that you have representation. When you live in New York or even California, a lot of rural areas in California that are conservative, or Illinois, you feel like I don't have any representation. You really do. But understand what the Democrats are going to do. Understand what their socialism is about. They're going to package it up in a price thing and just say we're going to give you free everything. And that's why they've got to focus on the federal government to do it. They can't do it in their own states because they're not willing to pay for it.
Well, and that's what, honestly, all this comes down to. They don't want to talk about costs. The left doesn't want to focus on the actual cost of anything.
Nope.
This is why they use this. This is the political phrase. We're bringing your health care costs down. And quite frankly, that's all that anybody cares about. My out-of-pocket. I don't care that costs are skyrocketing. Of course they're skyrocketing. They're always skyrocketing. I just don't want to pay it. Nobody wants to pay for their own health care.
Nope.
And Democrats capitalize on that because they know as long as they can keep this game going, and there is no mechanism to create a more efficient healthcare system to bring prices down. Actual.
Well, there's no
prices.
there's no urgency to do it.
No, there's no drive at all
from the public.
That's what I mean. If everybody is saying, you know, I want my costs to come down, what I pay.
Right. As long as the subsidies are there, there's not a problem. There's no sense of urgency.
It's my whole point. The Democrats have covered it up with subsidies for years. They do this with everything on their agenda and then tack it on to the $38 trillion and growing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to, why would anybody be concerned?
And then,
if nothing changes in your life.
And then they say, we care because we're putting it on the backs of our great-grandchildren.
That's right.
We care.
That's right.
Bunch of hypocrites. Mm-hmm. We are Red Eye Radio.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. It's really going to be interesting to see how this thing blows up with Democrats. But I really believe, because when you look at it, Schumer's the one that shut the government down. He didn't encourage anybody to reopen it unless he did it behind the scenes. And we know Jessica Tarlov was talking about that there are Democrats behind the scenes telling those 8, look, you can handle it. We can't handle the criticism from this. We can't handle it in our own districts, or our own states, but you can do it. Please do it. I don't know if Schumer was the one. Nobody is making that accusation against Schumer, but he gets the blame if he agrees with Republicans or he disagrees with Republicans. But I do think we need anybody who's considered just a radical leftist out, and we need socialist in.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what this is about.
No,
with Democrats.
It's definitely the case.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.